Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Lynn City Hall. We are so excited to have you all here. And on behalf of the city, I just want to thank our panelists and our moderator for having this really important conversation, our panel for Black History Month. We have had the privilege of being able to participate in various Black History Month events this month, and are just really excited that we have an event here in City Hall that the city is organizing. I want to thank Faustina Cuevas, our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Officer, Senior Advisor in my office, as well as the whole committee that worked on organizing this event. And I want to, again, thank our panelists and moderator for sharing their time and experience. Black history is American history, and it's also our history. And we're fortunate to have leaders in this community who have lived that history and can help us understand that history, learn that history, as well as what to do with that history, where to take that history. Because imparting those lessons and guiding those reflections, it's what helps us find that which we are proud of and hold up as examples, as well as that which we need to change and improve as we think about making tomorrow's history and what we do today. So just incredibly grateful for our distinguished panelists to share their insight, share their experience, and who better to guide that discussion of history than the director of Lynn's own museum, Doneeca Thurston-Chavez. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Nicholson. Good evening, everyone. So as Mayor Nicholson said, my name is Doneeca Thurston-Chavez. I'm the Executive Director of the Lynn Museum and Lynn Arts, just a stone's throw here in downtown Lynn. And it is my esteemed pleasure to serve as moderator this evening for tonight's panel. We, as Mayor Nicholson said, we have an incredible Black community here in Lynn, and so it is wonderful to have local leaders of color here to share their experiences, share their stories with you. So with that, I'm going to ask everybody to briefly introduce themselves before we jump into the conversation. So you have the microphone there, so whoever would like to start. Yep, just your name, your connection to the community if you'd like.
Good evening. My name is Mary Perry Joyner, and my connection to the city, it really varies. I belong to Lynn Council on Aging, ECHO, and other numerous self-justice organizations. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Cleo Hereford, and I'm a lifelong resident of Lynn. I graduated from Wellesley College almost 15 years ago and have lived in the city since. I currently serve on the Lynn Citizens Advisory Board, and I've also served on the Vision Lynn Steering Committee, and currently work with Neighbor to Neighbor Massachusetts, as well as other local community organizations.
How you doing? My name is Antonio Anderson. I am currently a basketball coach and academic advisor at a boarding school in New York called the Darrell School. I'm a former coach here at Lynn English High School and a former founder of the Antonio Anderson Skills Academy, which ran camps and clinics all throughout the city during the summers. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Egbuta. I'm a current student at Lynn Classical, an active member at the Boys and Girls Club, and I play basketball on the basketball team at Classical.
Ladies first.
Hi, my name is Zainab, and I am a 12th grader at Lynn English High School. I'm a member of Girls Inc. of Boston and Lynn, and also a member of Neighbor to Neighbor, and also I am on the Youth and Adolescents Task Force at Lynn City Council.
Good evening, my name is Darrell Murkinson. I am currently the Executive Director of the Community Minority Cultural Center, but I grew up in Lynn as well. I went to Lynn Public Schools, graduated from Lynn Classical High School, and went on to Northeastern University where I majored with a Bachelor of Science degree in education. I'm also on a number of different organizations here in the city, formerly the president of the North Shore branch of the NAACP. So thank you.
All right, so let's get started. What was your general experience like growing up here in Lynn and in this area, and how did those experiences either shape your adulthood, your current life, or your career?
Okay, I guess I'm going to start, right?
You have the microphone.
Okay. Okay, I would say growing up here in Lynn for me is very different than what Lynn is today. You know, I was just sharing with some of the panelists right now that I'll give you an idea, just a time frame might help you out a little bit better. I graduated from classical high school in 1978. So I started high school in 1975. And that was like at the height of the busing they had in Boston, for forced busing and desegregation. But you might say there was no desegregation in Lynn. That was true per se. But believe me when I tell you, that atmosphere that was, I would just say, engulfing the city of Boston, it had a big spillover. We had a lot of racial tensions right here in our schools in the city of Lynn as well. You know, but again, sharing with people here, if you see Lynn today, so many different cultures and languages spoken, it was not always that way. My graduating class from Lynn Classical High School was about 300 students. Of that 300, there was 24 black students graduating, 24 in my graduating class. There was 2 Hispanic or Latinos. There were 2 Asians, and they were Chinese. There were no Southeast Asians back then. So Lynn is very different than when I grew up. What's the other part of the question?
So how did that experience either shape you in your adulthood, in your career, or your current life?
Okay, I would say how that experience growing up in Lynn shaped my experiences as an adult going forward was, it really taught me to be resilient, all right? And whatever challenges that was put in front of me, with very little resources to do things, I was able to push through it and realize that the differences that people have, people always have their different opinions on different things, but that doesn't make you less than anyone else. And I think I got that strength from growing up here in Lynn, seeing that, again, just being a minority type of a student here in the city of Lynn and a minority citizen here in the city of Lynn, it taught us to be strong and that we can survive just about anything. We've been through worse.
Thank you. Anyone else?
So I didn't entirely grew up in Lynn. I immigrated from Nigeria to here when I was 10 years old. And Lynn is very different because in Nigeria, we're all the same, we all look the same, we're all black. But here I saw many diverse cultures, and I guess I'm not an adult, but in my current life, that has really taught me to be sensitive to other people's cultures and backgrounds because not everybody is the same. Even if someone is the same race, that does not mean that they went through the same struggles, that does not mean that that they went through the same paths. So being here has really taught me to be sensitive to other people's cultures and, like you said, also resilient.
Thank you.
I also didn't fully grow up in Lynn. I also immigrated from Nigeria when I was 8. But growing up, the couple years that I've been here, it really showed me that a city could change both in good ways and not so good ways. But it also taught me how to be more outgoing and come a lot out of my shell. Because when I first came here, I didn't really think I was gonna fit in. I'd see people outside. I didn't go out for a whole year because I didn't think I was gonna make any friends or anything, but I managed to go outside and I started going out a lot. I made friends, I started going to the Boys and Girls Club, I started school, and Lynn really showed me that people aren't as they seem, and you might think, oh, if I go out, I'm gonna get judged, I'm gonna be bullied, something, but you never know until you try it. And Lynn really taught me that you shouldn't knock something until you try it, and you shouldn't be scared to come out of your shell.
And I have to piggyback on that as well. I wasn't really born in Lynn. My parents moved us here in 1963 from Roxbury. And we were young, and what had happened is my dad knew someone who lived in Lynn, so he came to Lynn. I was very unhappy because at the time it was my dad that migrated from Little Washington, North Carolina in the midst of all the segregation and everything, and I did not want to come to Lynn because I felt like there were no, people of color here. And I myself, me and my sister, we stayed in the house for like a year and a half when we came here and we moved on Timpson Street. And one day we just looked out the window and saw Williams Avenue, and that's where all the families were. And I am really glad that our parents brought us here because my advantage was I was always very outgoing. I had a lot of mentors. And as Darrell mentioned, when I graduated in 1971 from Lynn Classical, there was a class of maybe 200, and it was just 5 black people in my class. So as people were graduating behind me and I was seeing all of that, I was like, oh, that's wonderful. And what it showed me is that everyone matters. That you cannot allow anyone to keep you from climbing or pursuing whatever your interest is, and you just have to push, and that's what it taught me. I had good teachers. I was the president of my class. Like I said, I was very outgoing. So nothing really stopped me, and I'm still that way now, and I just have to keep pushing. And I like the idea that Lynn is very diverse now. I feel more comfortable now than I did before, because that was a different era in the 70s.
I would say for me, when I think about growing up in Lynn, I really think about the Highlands and the Ford School. I think the Ford School was really the center of my childhood, a really diverse school that really saw a lot of immigration from a lot of different groups. So after the fall of the Soviet Union, we had a lot of Russian students, and then there was a lot of Somali immigrants, a lot of Afghan students. So like Zainab said, it really made me sensitive to different people's cultures, but even more than that, really sensitive to the struggles of people around the world. So right now we live in a very tumultuous time where there are things happening in the Middle East, in the Congo, in the Sudan, and I think growing up in Lynn has really helped me be sensitive to the people around me, so the people next to me, but also people all over the world and the things that people go through, and really in that way maybe an active participant in the fight for social justice locally and abroad.
For myself, growing up in Lynn was kind of similar to what it is now. I think I had a lot of mentors from going to several youth centers as a kid. A split time, I grew up in West Lynn and East Lynn, but primarily East Lynn and the Highlands as well. And went to Lynn Tech for high school and things of that nature. But Lynn is a blue collar city. You see a lot of people nowadays who I knew since I was younger who are just hard workers, and I think that's how the city goes about itself, and that's our identity as a whole. And it helped mold me to who I am as an athlete when I went to college. Just brought that mental and that Lynn toughness with me, and kind of carried that on to a professional career as well. So I credit Lynn for all of that, and that's pretty much it.
Thank you. So I feel like you kind of already answered our next question, so I'm going to keep it moving here. So if you could change anything about how you grew up in Lynn, what would that be, if you had anything to change? Yeah, if you wanted to change one thing about how you grew up, or maybe a few things, what would that be?
I wish things just, more opportunities were available. I think for myself, Mr. Murkinson, he was one of the members at the Greg House in which, I attended on a nightly basis. They had the after-school program and night program routines in which you had to do your schoolwork and prove your schoolwork was finished in order to play basketball or cook or dance or whatever it is you wanted to do. Just wish there was more opportunities out there outside of just that one place, in which, you know, it made it harder for some kids who may not have been as talented as others to compete and play. So I think if we had more of that, a lot of more kids would have been able to be involved in those activities rather than be outside and, you know, navigating the streets.
Similar to that, I would say I would change the lack of resources in our communities. I think the biggest thing that I noticed when I went from Lynn English High School to Wellesley College was just the stark differences in resources and what people had access to in terms of just internships and opportunities and enrichment that just kids in Lynn don't have. And I think that that can make it a difficult transition into a college like Wellesley or Harvard or any school of that nature. So I would say more resources for our schools, for our teachers, and for our kids is the biggest thing I would probably change.
And I would also change too some of the things that the young people need in the community, because when I grew up, we had Teen City, we had the CMCC, we had after-hour programs, we had the Greg House. We just need more places for the young people to go to, and that could kind of help to ground them and to nurture them into, you know, young men and women.
I don't think there's really much I would change, but growing up in Lynn, like the only thing I would really change is like about me, about the year I spent inside the house and like not going outside, like because that whole year I could have been doing something a lot better, like get into the Boys and Girls Club, like started to go there a lot earlier than I did, because I didn't start going there like until recently. But like I would just change that year that I spent in the house doing nothing, just sitting around, just watching TV. But like me growing up, like most things that are around now were still around. Like there were places to go, the Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., Y. Like there were places to go, there were after school clubs, there was a lot of things to do. But yeah, I wouldn't really change it much.
Personally, I wouldn't really change anything about my experience because I feel like it has made me who I am. But I would like to piggyback on what everybody else said about the resources. I feel like kids turn to other options, and I feel like there needs to be more enrichment programs. There needs to be more things that kids could also look to instead of, you know, turning to other negative influences and everything like that, because that's really important.
What would I change if I could for young people growing up in Lynn today? I think this very distinguished panel made the point that we're going to always need more resources to do better than what we're doing right now. That always seems to be the challenge. Whenever you ask to start a new program or you have a tremendous idea of how to improve things in the city, it's a lack of resources. You know, you don't have the funding, you don't have the space to build a new, just say a recreation center for young people. So that's always an ongoing challenge and a problem. So let me just start with that we just need more. You know, we need more, we need more people to care. But first and foremost, if I had a magic wand and I could change anything in the city of Lynn, I would just say abroad with our young people, just nationwide, is stop all this violence. We didn't have that when we were growing up, not to that extent. We didn't have guns, we didn't have metal detectors in school, we didn't have SROs roaming the hallways in schools. We didn't have all of that. And I really feel badly for the young people that have to grow up in that environment where they can't just go to school and learn and grow and do things that young people are supposed to do. You know, just experience new things in life. But they have to go to school thinking about, is somebody gonna shoot the school up today? You know, if I get in a fight with someone, is that gonna be the end of it? Or is somebody gonna kill me? You know, I would change that you don't know how much, I'm not gonna say you don't, but because I'm sure everyone here does. If you just can imagine, if you had to grow up like that, you know, and you have all this artificial intelligence and computers and all these things, our young people have become desensitized to a lot of different things. Their social skills are not as what they should be, in my opinion, because they spend so much time on a computer or on a telephone. You know, it's a whole different way of living, you know, and I think they could benefit if we would limit some of those things. You don't want to turn back the clock on technology and advancements because it has some positive aspects as well, but I definitely think it has had a bit of a negative effect in the environment that our children grow up in. They're worried about a lot of things that they shouldn't have to worry about. Thank you.
So it seems like across the board, you know, what everybody had shared, lack of resources is really something that stands out for all of you. And I know that some of you have already mentioned some of the organizations like Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., Teen City, CMCC, but what other resources or spaces as you've grown up here in Lynn made you feel safe, made you feel comfortable, or allowed you to be authentically you?
Personally, I feel like the resources that like made me feel safe and connected were like mostly playing basketball and like playing sports. Like I felt like if anything went wrong or something happened, I could just get on the court, get on the track, like, because I do track and basketball, like I could just leave it all somewhere else and just play the sport and just get out of my mind. And playing basketball, both at the Y, Boys and Girls Club, like most places I'm always at, and like it just really helped a lot. I feel like just finding something to do would just like keep your mind off of that a lot. And like all the different, because I've switched schools like every year since I've been here. But like I went to classical, I went to Breed, and I went to Tech. I feel like just finding something and like just playing a sport. I feel like playing a sport really did it for me. And I did dance too, just like finding something to do with the energy or like suppressed stress you have and just like putting it somewhere else.
I know you already mentioned Girls Inc., but I really want to emphasize on Girls Inc. Girls Inc. has really made me feel safe, and I've been attending there for like 6 years, 7 years now, and I don't know, like the all-girl like environment has really made me feel safe. Like I can talk to anybody there about anything, and I've also met a lot of good mentors who has been helping me and continue to help me. And also I just recently started being a member of Neighbor to Neighbor, and even if it's just been a few weeks that I've been with them, they've also made me feel really safe. And I feel like I have mentors that I can look up to now. And like you said, I also do sports, so I do track, and I feel like I can rely on anybody there. I've made like a lot of friendships, and I don't know, they just make me feel safe also. Yeah.
I guess if you're talking about a safe space that someone could just be comfortable in. For myself, growing up, again, back in the 70s, when I was in high school and junior high school, things really haven't changed a lot. I was a four-sport athlete myself, and a lot of me and my friends and people that we just grew up around, we were outside all the time. You know, we played football, baseball, basketball, you know, street hockey, all these different things, and we had very little fear, to be honest. We traveled all over the city just playing against different kids in different neighborhoods. And also we went to school. That the sports was always an outlet, so I guess I would just lead into that by saying that I hope the schools realize how valuable the sporting programs and athletic programs are to young people, not just here in the city of Lynn, but just everywhere. It's a very important outlet for young people to release some of that energy, and they pick up some good role models there, some just good habits of being in a team setting. So it's the value of being in a safe place. If you went outside and you were playing with the team, you know, pretty much your parents knew when you went there, and they knew when you were gonna come home. They knew where you were. And that, I think that was a real comforting feeling for the families and also the young people that participated. You know, we just didn't have the same anxiety that maybe some of the younger people have today. And sports has always been that type of an outlet. I'd be just reiterating the same organizations over and over again, but sometimes things are worth repeating. We did have a boys club back then. It wasn't a boys and girls club. It was just the boys club, right where it is now on North Common Street. The YMCA was there, but we didn't go to the YMCA because it cost too much money. We went to the boys club, all right? There was still a divide with economics back then as well. Played Little League baseball, Pop Warner football, Park League basketball, CYO basketball, all those different things. And those were great outlets for young people of that time. We didn't have computers back then, so we were outside. Thank you.
I need the question repeated.
Oh, of course. So I know you've mentioned some of the organizations you were involved in, Teen City, CMCC, growing up. So were there any other spaces in particular that you felt safe, that you sought out, or that you felt like you could be most authentically yourself?
Well, it would have to be when I was going to school, because as I said, I had a lot of mentors around me, and they used to encourage me. Like, for instance, I did a little schooling at Ingalls, and I had a teacher who saw that I could remember lines real well, so she geared me into theater a little bit. So it was that teacher that geared me into theater, and with me learning the theatrical side of life, I blossomed as a singer. And what had happened by hanging at Teen City, it was the girls and the boys, and I pulled together a group with the teenagers. We taught them how to sing and harmonize, and I felt very comfortable with that. And with that, we were well known in the city. Every talent show that we went to, we won. And it was just good having those mentors like Clarence Jones, Lily Jones, Dick Gaskins, May Gaskins, and they just, fed into you. And I just felt safe being there. And I just pray that, as Darrell said, that the violence will stop. I do know now that they're starting some programs now for the young people. And I would like to also mention that I'm also a part of this new initiative called Can We Talk? And what Can We Talk is, it's a program that the former newscaster Liz Walker pulled together, and it's an environment where you can come and share your traumatization, feel comfortable talking about things. We're trained as community companions, and we do this every third Tuesday at the YMCA. We serve refreshments, and you're also entitled to a free month's membership. And what they don't focus on, and I'm gonna push it, even though adults are there, 18 on up are welcome to come there. So that's what I have to share.
Similar to what Mary said, I think school for me was a place that I felt safe and authentically myself. I would say the school that Dr. Claire Crane built at the Ford School was really a community school, both in model, but also the way that it functioned in terms of it being for families and offering GED courses and ESL and other things that were more than just education for elementary students. And I think that extended to the neighborhood, to the Highlands, where we would have block parties and community festivals. It really felt like a community and felt like we were always in community with other people. And I feel like that is something that maybe is missing in Lynn today, is really knowing your neighbors and having opportunities to run into people that you know in the streets. And I think that, to the extent that we're talking about a loneliness epidemic and isolation and all of those things, really bringing back community and rebuilding some of that what we lost through technology and other things that people have mentioned here.
For myself, sports was my safe place. Playing basketball and football growing up, that's all I wanted to do. Being part of, Eastland Papuana, youth basketball teams, all of us went to different schools. So, on weekends we'll hang out and go to, classical English football games on Fridays, or when basketball season, go to basketball games. So those are the things that made me feel safe. It wasn't the gun violence that goes on nowadays. So, everybody could, go to games and there'd be no trouble afterwards. It was the place to be. And I think that was for me, that was a safe place. And just being able to play basketball, play football all day long when school's out all day in the summer, that was made me happy.
All right, so I know we want to have time for a Q&A, so I hope folks in the audience are thinking of questions to ask our wonderful panelists here. But before we get to that, what advice do you have for future and current Black leaders in our community?
If I can give kids any advice, just surround yourself with people who have similar goals to yourself. That's the only way you can kind of stay focused and not get distracted from what's going on outside of things that you focused on. If you just, you're always going to have one or two who may not align with what you want to do in life, but, if you can find a way to just stay focused and, be able to block that out, have tunnel vision, that's the way to go. I think that's the way to stay out of trouble. That's the way to go get an education, whether you pay for it or you get it through scholarships. And if you can just constantly remind yourself of there's more life than to just being here and just being in the bubble, then you'll make it far.
I think I would say leadership is more than just a title. You can claim to be a leader, but it's more about what you do with the power that you're sort of given with that. So really, again, being in community with people, being collaborative, working with people, I think is the mark of a good leader versus just having that title and having it bestowed upon you. So really thinking about what you're going to do with your power and what you want to achieve and being for the good of people in general.
I would say just to be involved in the very organization, find out where you fit at. Everyone has different gifts, and whatever those gifts are, just to utilize them and be the best that you can be.
For current Black leaders, I'd just say keep doing what you're doing. Like, you guys are doing a lot for this community. And for like the future Black leaders, I'd say just like hang out with the right people. Don't hang out with people who you know are gonna get you in trouble. Keep your mind focused. Like, get an education, go to school, go to college. Like, you're not gonna make out here being a bad kid and not going to college. Like, wanting to seem cool because you don't go to school, wanting to seem cool because you're skipping class, but you're missing out on an education that could help you and better your life in the later run.
I personally would say be selfish, but also selfless. Like, do things for yourself, but also do things for others, because at the end of the day, you're kind of representing a community, and there are people looking towards you, people looking up at you, like you're the role models. So do things for yourself, but also do things for others.
Advice I would offer to, I would say, current leaders and future leaders coming up right here, I would say, number one, whatever cause you find yourself involved with, you have to be committed to it and realize that things are not always going to be easy. You have to be resilient. You're going to have probably more downs than you do ups. And when the challenges come, you have to be ready for it. Sometimes you got to take a few steps backwards in order to go forward, and you have to be ready for that. So I'd say be committed to what you're doing, so you have that stick-to-itness, and also make sure you do your research. Always do your homework so you have that preparedness. If you can prepare yourself for a situation that you may be going into, you can better address it. So those are the main things, is that your commitment, your stick-to-itness, and your resilience. Because like I said earlier, we've been through worse, and we've survived it. It's something that we like to call bounce back magic. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I'm going to now turn it to the audience. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask either all of the panelists or any panelist in particular? Marky.
Well, first of all, thank you, Doneeca and panelists, for this tonight. It's been really enlightening to listen to you guys. But you guys touched on resources a bit, and you touched on a little bit on mentors, but I was just curious, because when I think about my experience growing up in Lynn, I think about all the teachers and coaches, and I think probably a handful of them, except for a handful of them, they all looked like me. So I'm curious, do you feel like the coaches and teachers and mentors that you had in the community were well equipped to deal with the challenges facing the Black community, and therefore that you were facing, and how did that shape your experience, and if not, like how do we kind of correct that with better training or whatever?
So for anybody that couldn't hear the question is, do folks that are here in the panel, did they have educators, coaches that looked like them, that felt like they were well equipped to navigate the challenges that young Black people face? Did I capture that right, Marky?
Even more eloquently than me.
Beautiful. We'd love to see it. So anybody is welcome to answer the question.
Okay, I'll start. I think that's a great question. Actually, I was gonna, I'm glad you asked the question, because I was gonna kind of circle back to that, but I've been out of turn. So during the time period in which I grew up, things were very different. Did I have teachers and coaches that looked like me? No, I did not. I grew up right here in the city of Lynn, and I did not see a teacher that looked like me until I was in the 5th grade. That was the first Black teacher that I saw and I had in the 5th grade at Callahan School. So for me, I didn't really realize the full impact of that until I matured more and really realized what it was. If you can imagine a child, just learning anything, you want to see some things that are possible for you. Now, if you're in an environment where all of your teachers, all of your classmates look something different, and you see all of the people they hold up in esteem as role models all look different than you don't know if that's possible for you. Especially sometimes in that same environment, whether knowingly or unknowingly, that's placed upon you that you're less than, you're not capable of achieving certain things. How could a Black child even think or dream of being a teacher if he's never seen one, never seen a Black teacher in his life? Only seen one. And I go a step further by saying that I went through all of my formative years in education, Lynn Public School, 12 years, and I had one Black teacher my whole academic career, one. And that was when I was in the 5th grade, 10 years old. And I only saw 3. One was a 2nd grade teacher that came later, and one when I was in junior high school. So I'm speaking from my own experience. This didn't happen in some far off place. This happened right here in Lynn. I know a lot of you, especially some of the younger panelists here, the 1960s and 1970s seems like a long time ago, but in the scope of life, it's not a long time ago. It's not long ago that we had to go through this. So. And as far as coaches, I never had a Black coach in all of my life. I'm gonna take that back. I had one when I went to college. One Black coach. one person telling me that I can do it, that believed in me, that looked like me. I had some good white coaches as well. The coaches were good coaches. But again, if you're looking for role models and something that's reflective of what you can do, coming from someone that looks like you to say to you, I can do it, I've done it, so can you. You see me here, right? You can do this as well. To never have that, just think about that for a second. Because I know there's a lot of people here that never even really thought of that. And I found myself many times being the only black one in the whole class. Average class size, maybe 28 to 30 kids back then, in like elementary school, junior high school. The only one in my class, many times, not unusual. Thank you.
I would definitely say yes and no. I've had a few people who were like black mentors, but not every single one of them, not a lot. And that's why I feel like representation is key. I feel like representation is very important. Like you said, if I see someone who's like a black astronaut and I wanted to be an astronaut, if I see someone who's black, that will motivate me to work towards that. And I feel like that's why it's really important to have people who look like you, people who can represent people like you, so you can also do things like them. But I will say, even though like most of my mentors are not like me, I feel like they've really tried. And honestly, I've learned a lot of them, but I do feel like we still need more representation.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I've had some, but not a lot. I've had some teachers, I've had some coaches, and like, yeah, I feel like we really do need more in Lynn. Like, when I went to Breed, we started the inclusivity panel, and we started working towards more hiring like more diverse teachers, not just people of like, not just black people, but like all diverse, like Latinos, Asians, just like a diversity, so everyone can have somebody to look up to and talk to. Because I admit, it feels more comfortable to talk to someone that looks like you about something that's going on than someone who doesn't really look like you. And most of my teachers, they may not look like me, but they help me a lot. Like, they're able to answer things that I ask them. They're able to help me with whatever, talk to me when I need it, and really make me feel comfortable both in school and just like mentors and like during sports.
And I myself, coming from Boston, I did have 2 black teachers. But when I came to Lynn, I did not have any teachers that looked like me. But the teachers who worked with me had built me up to say I could do it, and I believed in myself. Yes, we do need more people who look like us, but I kind of just got used to the fact that I didn't have it. And my home life, my foundation of growing up was good, because my mother and father had molded me and my sister and had already told us, no matter what, you can be whatever you want to be. Because a lot of this has to start at home. It has to start at home, then you come to the school. But I did not feel diminished or disturbed at all, because I did not have, you know, a black teacher, because I felt like the treatment I was getting was fair. As a matter of fact, when I was in high school, I was always on the honor roll, and my shorthand teacher was very friendly, you know, with me, and he was the one who put my name in for a full scholarship at Marion Court. But it does make a difference, but I do hope that in the coming future that more people will come forward.
I would say for me, I didn't have while there were black teachers growing up in Lynn, I didn't have a black educator myself until my senior year of college, so probably 2008, 2009. And I would say there was a tendency towards more like a color blindness mindset, which I think we need to confront in terms of that being a misstep, because I think ultimately at the end of the day, the color of our skin, the texture of our hair, the language we speak, our religion affects our experience in this world. And so I think it's important to recognize our differences, not so much in divisiveness, but in terms of just recognizing that at the end of the day, it does affect our experience and the way we navigate this world. And so while we work towards a more diverse educator workforce, I think we also need to also think about just acknowledging the differences and how that affects the way we experience life and each other.
Growing up, I definitely had some African-American teachers, one in elementary, Mr. Ridley, one in middle school with Mr. Bird. And in high school, I didn't have any, but my coaches were, Coach Avery was African-American. So I was able to have people who look like me teach me in class, also be coaches to me, football and basketball, and also kind of be mentors and talk to me about things that I should and should not do. And it was good to hear those things from people who I knew growing up, and it made a huge difference in me or what I did becoming as an athlete coming out of Lynn.
All right, I see a hand raised. Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we also had a hand in the very back.
Okay, yep. Hi, everybody, thank you. Lisa Tobin here, Public Health Director for the city, and to the two young ladies who have done so well tonight. What can we do in the city to engage young people more? You know, I'm hearing that you guys found Girls Inc., Boys and Girls Club, basketball. What about the kids who aren't finding stuff? What can we do as people in the community to help those kids find a place to be safe?
I feel like the kids that aren't finding stuff, they just don't, there isn't enough like advertising and like publishing the amount of like things there is for them to do. Because personally for me, I found out about the Boys and Girls Club through my school. Like I didn't know about it until like 2-3 summers ago. Like I didn't know about it until like the school told me about it. Like I feel like just more publishing and more like I'll go in and like telling people about it, like posts, newspapers, everything, just posting about it and like just like letting them know, just getting the word out.
I'm going to back you on that. I feel like there are opportunities out there, not a lot of them, but there are, but not everybody has access to that information. Not everybody's on social media. Not everybody looks at their social media, and if they see a post, they kind of just ignore. So I definitely think like advertising it in a way that will interest, you know, the teenagers to, you know, be a part of the programs. Like I joined Girls Inc. because of a friend. She told me about it, and I feel like if there are more people in programs like that that can tell their friends, and then their friends can tell other friends, I feel like that's going to really, you know, be a good way to like advertise the programs. And I also feel like investing in these programs so that, you know, they can do more for the people in the community also, and also maybe just, you know, because it's not only about the kids, but, you know, sometimes the parents also, they don't have enough information to help their kids. So I think maybe even programs to help parents also, because we can't only, you know, kind of blame it on the kids, because not everybody, you know, has the, you know, mind or the access to access all those programs, if that makes sense.
All right, thank you. One more question here. Hi, my name is T. I just want one question asked is, where do you go to find information on just living in the city in general? I know as I grew up, we had the J.B. Blood building or the superintendent over there in Corbett or whatever. Today, I don't even know where to go if I was to direct a family that moved to the city and they needed help with their someone with behavior health, just for instance, and we used to have like a whole person or advocate up there at the J.B. Blood building that had different resources where we can go to and not have to go around the whole city just to find help for one person.
Okay, who's that question directed? Let me just say this. I think sometimes things happen for a reason. The mic ended up with me. Like I said to people in the beginning of this, I'm executive director of the Community Minority Cultural Center, and just so happens, part of what we do at CMCC is we disseminate information just like that to people. People walk up and down Union Street all the time, and they're new to the city, and they really don't know where things are, how to get different resources. We collect pamphlets and information from all the different organizations in the city, from Lynn Community Health Center to Lynn Housing Authority to fuel assistance, all these different things. We have pamphlets at CMCC, and we call it our informational portal. So if people come there, again, they come to CMCC and they're looking for certain things. They're looking for maybe even ESL classes, different things that they're looking for. We have some of that information at CMCC, but how are they to know that it's even there, I think is a broader question. Outreach has always been an issue with any organization. How do we reach everybody? And it's been a transformation for, I would say, me and many people in my age range. You're looking at social media and websites and TikTok and whatever, Instagram, all these different things. A lot of people don't read the newspapers like they used to. Some people out there probably saying, what's a newspaper? You know, they get it online, they're reading everything online, they're doing this and they're doing that. So outreach is a constant issue, but all I can offer right now is that with the mechanism that we have, again, we gather these pamphlets with information in it. If you happen to be walking by 298 Union Street, CMCC, come on in. If we don't have the information, we probably can direct you to where to get it. All right, thank you.
All right, we have a young person here. Do you want to stand? She said no. Okay, we're going to give her the mic.
My name is Soleil Sky Hedgepeth, and I'm 10, and I go to 5th grade. I go to KIPP, and I'm going to 6th grade soon. So I need recommendation on which schools to go to, and I really like Breed or Marshalls. Which one do you think is better?
This is a contentious issue.
Personally, I went to Breed, and I think Breed is better than Marshalls. That's just a personal opinion, but I think Breed is better than Marshalls. But again, it's up to you and like what you think, like what type of things you like, what type of people you want to be around. Like, it's not really like, we can always give you recommendations and like what we think you should do, but at the end of the day, it's like up to you. It's like what you want to do. Like, do you think you want to go to Breed and be near like, because when you get out of school at Breed, class goes right down the street. All those high schoolers, that might be intimidating, who knows? Or do you want to go to Marshalls? It's like isolated, not really isolated, but like, you know, not much high schoolers come around there when they get out of school. So it's like, it's really up to you and like what you feel like you'll be comfortable with.
Were you happy there?
Yeah, I was happy at Breed. Like, I enjoyed it. I made a lot of friends. I was on the inclusivity panel. Like, I had a lot of fun. The teachers were amazing, and I think you'll like it there. Like, personally, I think you'll like it there, but who knows?
Girl, pass that mic to someone I went to Marshall. I'm just kidding.
I went to Marshall, and honestly, wait, I was gonna say save yourself and go to Breed, to be honest, because my experience with Marshall was very like 50-50. There were pros and there were cons, but I feel like I don't know you, but I feel like you're out there a little. So honestly, you should go to Marshall if you want to, and I feel like you're gonna do well there. I just feel like you need to put yourself out there and, engage yourself, do things that, you never thought you could do, but also, participate in activities. I feel like that really, makes your experience in middle school, but, go to Breed if you can.
I got to comment just a little bit. I went to Breed too. But I would just say this, I've heard people say Marshall, they said Breed, they said Kip. No one said anything about Pickering, right? No one said anything about Pickering. I think like one of the panelists said earlier, you have to decide with your parents what's the best place for you. And I'm thinking that what we've been striving for in the city of Lynn, and probably most other places, is that we have equity with these schools. And it shouldn't really matter which one of those you choose, they should offer an equal curriculum there, all right? Their athletic teams should be funded just as well, all right? The teachers should care about you just as much in one school as they do the other. And you should be able to go to maybe a neighborhood school which is closer to you that makes it more beneficial for you and your parents. A school that has everything that you need and everything you want should be close to you. So it now just becomes just a choice, all right, what you may be feeling. But they should offer the same thing. Every one of them should offer the same thing. So I guess when you and your parents are making that decision, you would go to those schools, have an opportunity to speak with those principals, and see if they have the same things offered there. If they don't, come see me, we'll talk about it.
Any other audience questions? Anyone else? Okay.
Hi, really appreciate what everybody's had to say so far. My name is Gabe. I'm with Neighbor to Neighbor here in Lynn, but no, I'm curious. I'm not sure how to phrase this question, but we talk a lot about inclusion. I talk about diversity, equity, inclusion. We talk about, all of those things, and I think sometimes there's a question of like, do we necessarily want inclusion, or do we want something more than that? I think sometimes when we talk about inclusion, it's just inclusion in things as they are, rather than a transformation of the way that things are, and maybe it's a bit of both. But I think my question is sort of, from your perspective, from whether it's sort of, is there something that you'd like to see in this city, in your community, in just these spaces that maybe goes even beyond inclusion to talk about something bigger, something different when it comes to histories and experiences and realities and access?
Should I start? I don't want to monopolize this thing.
I have one. I've lived in Lynn for 30 years. Thank you.
Did he have a question?
Well, there is a question there. We're going to answer it. Can I?
Go right.
Thank you. I've been trying to get this out for a while. Okay. I've lived in Lynn for 30 years. There is an issue with getting our best and brightest after high school to come back after college. Lynn is not nurturing their new candidates. We're having candidates for the councilman and mayor, who were Lynners, or there are people who are moving back to Lynn after being away for a long time. We don't have kids who want to stay here. Whether it's the cost of rent, we have all these just add water buildings that are coming in that are costing so much that Lynners can't live there. But we need to have a look-see at our middle group of people, not the young children, not the old ones, that middle group, the ones who decide what's gonna happen. They need help. That's my daughter up there. I just wanted, I wanted to stay instead of moving out. That's what's happening. All of our kids are moving out, so we're not getting that opportunity to have a lifelong little area of Lynn. What do you think?
Don't worry, she ain't going nowhere.
I know.
Darrell, you can go ahead. I know you wanted to speak.
Okay, I think that comes down to what we kind of consider retention, right? When we have, again, our best and our brightest here that have grown up in the city of Lynn and have committed themselves to getting a real good education, and she's gone to Wellesley College, which is one of the best in the country, and she has a lot to offer. But how do we keep young people like her engaged in the city of Lynn? I'd be the first one to tell you that I don't have the answer to that, because I know, just being at some point in time a young person myself, the world is a big place. And that education affords you the opportunity to see different things, and you want to see how you can impact the world in different ways. So the easiest thing in the world to do is come back home. Like I told my kids when they went off to school, and I said, listen, if there's anything that you want to do with your life, any place that you might want to go and try something different, this is the time to do it. I said, you can always come back home, but you should go out there and see what the world has to offer for you, so you have no regrets in your life. So for someone like this young lady here, who has, again, afforded herself very well, and she obviously has many talents, I would just say to her, follow her own dreams, all right? And just see where it takes you. See where it takes you. Because home is always going to be home. So I don't have the answer to that. That's the best I can do.
Just before we wrap up, I don't know if Divine or Zainab wanted to say anything. What would keep you here? Kind of going back to that question. What would keep you to come back here, work here, live here, thrive here?
I feel like for me, for college and stuff, like I want to go like out of state, like out of Lynn, like, and like go to college, go do what I want to do in life. But at the end of the day, like, I do want to come back. Lynn is an amazing place. As much as things may go on, violence, all that, at the end of the day, Lynn is still Lynn. Lynn is a great place to grow up, and I wouldn't want to grow up anywhere else. Like, I feel like personally what would keep me here is, first, a lot less violence, because there's too much. And like, just like, I feel like just like seeing people engaging and like gatherings like this, like panels, like stuff like that, the community just coming together. I feel like that'll keep me here a lot, and like just like have me always in the back of my mind, like, oh, as many stuff that might happen in Lynn, there's still great parts of Lynn, like things like this, like the gatherings we have each during like each month to celebrate whoever is being celebrated that month, like just like gatherings like this, celebrations, block parties, it's like things that just like bring us together with as little violence as possible.
I feel like what would keep me here is probably if I knew like I was secure, if like I had job security, or if I felt really, really safe here. It's not like Lynn is a bad place or anything. Lynn is very beautiful. It has beautiful people, beautiful things to offer. I just feel like, me personally, I want to go out and explore other things. I want like a change of scenery. I don't want to be kind of like just in one place like my whole life, if that makes sense. But that does not mean that like I would never come back to Lynn. Like honestly, Lynn could change into like the most safest place like in how many years, but I'm just a person who wants to like go on an adventure, I guess, if that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Just want to say thank you all again. My name is Faustina Cuevas. I'm the City of Lynn's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer. I do want to say something about Gabe's question, though. I think one of the things as you were speaking, Gabe, that came to mind is the word belonging. Is like, how do we create spaces where people belong? How do we create spaces where people feel seen, that they're a part of the conversation? I always say inclusion is about me feeling good. Oh, I included you. I feel good about myself because I did something good. Belonging is the other person saying, I feel included and I feel like I'm a part of the conversation, I'm a part of the decisions, I'm a part of, you know, the seat at the table, right? So we have a lot of work. Belonging is the world that we aspire to, but I think that that's sort of the essence, I think where Gabe was trying to get us to. The other piece I want to say, I thought that your question was really thoughtful because I left Lynn for 10 years and I did make my way back after 10 years. I did live, I did go have those experiences, and then I found myself wanting to, all those things that I acquired, all that knowledge, all those experiences, wanting to bring those talents back home, kind of like LeBron, you know what I mean? So I think that you should follow your heart, follow your dreams, that if it brings you back here, I think that's amazing, and if it doesn't, that's okay too. Just a few announcements. Thank you all for coming this evening. I did want to give a shout out. I was reminded to give a shout out to Samara and Cafe Catering, who catered tonight's event. Just give it up to Angela Satterwhite, who's the owner and caterer for that. I think she left some stuff outside, so I don't know, y'all on your way out, you can get that. We also snuck food in here. We're not supposed to have food in here, but it's okay as long as we just clean up after ourselves. So please, on your way out, if you brought food in here, just please dump it on your way out, and let's help clean this place up and keep it as glorious as we found it. And finally, but obviously not least, our moderator, Doneeca Thurston-Chavez, thank you so much. Antonio Anderson,